What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol BARK for the original Bark company. On the left-hand side, we are looking at the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Obviously, today's activity was very bearish, sustained selling pressure on high volume all day, and it took out, if you remember we talked about in prior videos, this range that we had here. So first thing to do is, of course, look at the 30-minute time frame chart. We'll remove this support trend line that's clearly no longer in play. And the first thing I want to point out is if you're long this name from, trying to get the breakout up here around these highs, that trade idea was a good idea. But in terms of risk management, hopefully you were using a stop loss somewhere underneath that support trend line that we just removed and or a horizontal level here, and you stopped out of this trade somewhere around here. Even worst case scenario, you could have stopped out somewhere around here once you really started to see things turning back around. If you're still holding this long, if you were trying to get the breakout up here, your average price is somewhere around 9, and you're hoping that this thing is suddenly going to turn back around and take out that high, then I would just advise, or maybe think twice rather, about holding on to this and just holding on to hope, right? So using a trade plan is kind of key here, and going forward with this name, I think your money would be better served elsewhere, right? So that's not financial advice, but that's kind of what I would do if I was in your situation and did not stop out at either of those 2 points that we just outlined here. So anyways, rant over, what can we do about this going forward? Well, as we know, the opportunity when we see trading ranges develop is, of course, look below and fail back into the range, in which case the top is the target. And in this case, we had a look above, fail back into the range. We know that the bottom is the target, but now we've actually closed outside of this range to the downside. So what do? Well, we look for the breakdown out of the range, so the actual extension this time. And what do we look at as a rule? Well, generally what we do is we take this range and we say we're going to double it to the downside. So where does that place us? I would argue somewhere in here. Let's call it 715. Let me check my math here with an actual drawing tool, or my eyeball skills rather, and 713 is technically the number, but anyways, we're headed into that area. If we look at the actual ability to trade this to the short side, it's non-existent, right? If you look at this, shares are hard to borrow. You're not going to short this with shares. If we look at the options contracts on the put side, the open interest rather was okay, but the actual volume that went through was terrible, right? So you're not going to trade this short with any type of size given this volume. If we even go out a contract, you can see that, okay, maybe there's some volume here at the 7.5 put strike, but to me, it's just not something I would want to get caught up in to the downside. It's just not a chart I really think there's a lot of opportunity in here, especially now that we've broken back down through the range all in one day. Now, that being said, I don't want you to be surprised. Like, say you listen to me, and again, this is not financial advice, but say you listen to me, you bail on your position here. Don't be surprised if we get a little bit of a selling reprieve and there's some green activity, right? That is very well in the cards. This is a pretty extended move here. I'm not saying it's going to bounce, but I wouldn't be surprised, right? But for the long-term health of this stock, this move here was pretty detrimental. And the fact that it happened on high volume, the fact that if we just scrunch this chart up like this, we are in a short-term, a short-term daily downtrend, it's just not looking good for the outlook here in Bark. I'm not trying to be a doomsayer. I'm just pointing out what's directly in front of me with the price action. So if you enjoyed today's video or if you learned anything new, let me know down below in the comment section or by simply giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description, and all of that being said, we wish you a green trading week.